Hey everybody, this is Ramon Ray, founder of Smart Hustle Media at smarthustle.com. Thanks for joining me for another exciting interview podcast discussion with Matt Bliss, who's the founder of Modern Christmas Trees, and we'll get into his story in just a minute. But if you're hearing the sound of my voice, definitely give us a share, give us a like, give me some feedback, give me some comments. I'm a real person. We want to make sure that we know we're serving you. Give us a good rating, a 5-star rating, whatever the highest rating is, and make sure you share this with someone else. And again, if you like interviews like this, insights, you can always go to smarthustle.com for more information or find out about me at ramonray.com. Matt, thanks for taking the time to join us. As we tape this, it's a few days before proverbially your favorite time of the year, but thanks for joining us. I really appreciate it, Matt. And how are you and your family? How are things in the Colorado area doing for you today?
We are hanging in there. It's been a challenging year for everyone,
Yes.
but we are very thankful to announce that we set a record for sales this year. So, and there's still some time left at the end of the year here. So,
Nice.
yeah, we're feeling very thankful. It's as an entrepreneur, you know that there are a lot of ups and downs,
Yes.
and we experienced that whole gamut this year. But happy to announce that we're where we are.
I love it. And why do you think there has been record sales? Has it been a proverbial everybody's at home clicking away? Have you all done anything different with advertising or SEO? Did you get a bump in advertising? Is it because people knew you were talking to me today? So the whole earlier part of the year?
Yeah.
Help us understand. And as I ask these questions, Matt, I ask to hear your answers, but also keep in mind as we educate others to learn whatever your answer may be. So why for you was there a bump in this?
I think it's a combination of things. I think definitely we experience from talking to our customers, people kind of nesting at home.
Yep.
And so people having more time to shop online, which is where we sell exclusively.
Yep.
And, we had messaging on our website. Thanks to our great relationship with Fedex, they communicated to us that we should experience delays, and that's fine. But you have to be able to communicate to the customer realistic expectations. So if it's going to take an extra 3 days, we just need to know that, and we can educate our customers appropriately. So we encourage people early on, prevent delays. So part of it, I think, is that, and people wanting to make the holidays as special as they can this year, given the year that we've had. And I'd like to think that my grandpa's trees give them that opportunity. And I think that we have learned quite a bit over the years in terms of marketing and what works and what doesn't. And this year we were able to try some new things out that seemed to move the needle for us. So I think it's a combination of things.
I love it. And to your point about letting people know what happens, I mean, going back to the whole shipping industry, I think that it's a retraining. I don't know how to say this. It's not really a question, Matt, but a statement more so like the holiday crush and all that. If people do shop for their holiday shopping in June, it'll be there by the time the holidays are done. It sounds weird.
Absolutely.
Some procrastinators, but even if you look at going to church or synagogue or wherever you're going on Sunday, right? If you're going there late, you're going to arrive late. So it's weird. It's more philosophical, but if we retrain people, hey, if you want Christmas trees this year, order yours in October or September, whatever, Matt can fulfill it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's definitely what we've tried to communicate is, don't miss out. Don't, prevent delays, plan ahead, that type of messaging. And I think that's worked. Certainly, we went to our after Christmas sale on Monday of this week.
Okay.
Because of shipping delays. Prior to that, we were doing 2 days, free 2-day shipping from December 1st. And that we initiated that strategy just based on FedEx, potential delays. And again, they've been a great partner. But the customer needs to know when to expect their trees. We're not selling barbecues where maybe it doesn't matter as much if it arrives a week late. With our trees, we can't have that. In fact, I had a conversation with a customer online the other day, and her response was, can I get this any quicker than 2 days?
Right.
And I had to be honest and say, in this environment, probably not. And I would rather set appropriate expectations, realistic expectations, than have an extra $800 in my checking account. I'm concerned with having happy customers. And so I had to tell her that, unfortunately, if you need your tree within 2 days, you're probably better off finding a different local solution
Sure.
this year. Because again, I don't want to have that conversation with a customer. We ran into that situation with a customer a couple of years ago where they wanted, can you overnight this to us? Because they waited forever. And, they paid whatever, $800 to overnight all of this tree and all the product, and it arrived a day late. And we had to eat that cost and refund the customer. And so that was a painful lesson that although I want to sell as many trees that I can, that I have to be responsible with how I communicate to people.
No, and you're so true. It sounds interesting that we talk about the premium services people are tempted to offer, even as as a business owner. Premium services cost money, meaning somebody's paying Matt, 10 times more. You have staffing and issues. So that's a good point that even if you want to try that that has to be managed. Matt, let's talk about some of the online marketing things at the top of your head. I'm sure there's a lot, but I guess in marketing, there's some basic things that we all know: get ads, SEO, colors, images. There could be more, but I'm curious, anything you can think of, one or two things that Ramon, here's what we did. And if you don't mind sharing what we can learn, e-commerce, what are things that you're like, hey, maybe if you want to, here's the basics, 2 or 3 or 4 things, and then here's some ninja stuff we've learned along the way. Anything that comes to mind for you?
Well, this year is the first year and I think the term is remarketing.
Okay, yeah.
Where basically, somebody goes to our website. What we've learned about our product is that it's not an impulse buy. I originally had thought that, based on the visuals, because the visuals are so dramatic and stunning, that we would get all sorts of people saying, I see this, I want it right now. That's just not the case, particularly with the luxury product, a high-end product, is you have to touch them multiple times. And sometimes it takes years to acquire that customer. And so this idea of, and I think it's called remarketing or rebranding, where basically they'll go to the website and say, I'm interested in this tree. They might even put it in their cart, and then forget about it, and or decide that they don't want it, or the phone rings, or whatever happens. But the idea that they go to a different website and they see an ad for our product or our offering on the right-hand side, that I think has been a successful marketing practice that we didn't do prior to this year. So that has, I think, been helpful. I think regardless of the product that you're selling, the customer needs to see it multiple times. It's silly. I'll find a T-shirt that I like, and I might even put it in my cart.
Right.
And then I'll be like, I can't find my credit card, or phone rings, or what have you. But then, I'll go to maybe a different website and I'll see it there maybe a week later and say, oh yeah, I forgot about that. I have time right now. I'm going to go ahead and purchase it. So that strategy has helped us this year that we didn't do prior to that. Certainly the other thing too, I'll say is this year, and I got to be careful how I say it, the trees, many of the components of the trees are made in America this year. Which wasn't the case prior to this. It's very difficult to manufacture products in the United States. And with what was going on overseas, I thought that was the right strategy for the company. Of course, the prices aren't, what we can get with some of our overseas partners.
That's very interesting, and I think, and very powerful. I think, listen, made in America can be a selling point for sure to some people, but as you said, costs are different, et cetera. So I think there's the pros and cons between doing as much as we can made in America, or as you said, working with partners, and they are, who are outside. So I think that's an interesting point that probably affected profitability and or sales in some way, is what I'm hearing. Does that make sense, Matt?
Absolutely. And to go back to the point about marketing, we did certainly doing blogs and the SEO power of blogs, with much of the tree made in America this year. That certainly got us a lot of eyeballs through that blog that I wrote. So I think that has been something that has been successful this year that we didn't do in previous years.
I love this. And I think, Matt, also, I'm always interested in product-based businesses. Can you give us an overview as best you can of your operation? Meaning, how many people are you? And do you make, like the product, is it finished and finalized here? Do you have 10 million warehouses, one warehouse? When people hit a button, how does that work? Can you just give us a sense for those who don't know, especially like, I have a cup and I have a dream. How does that work when I hit order and I get it? Or in this case, your trees. Give us a picture of that. How does that work?
Yeah. So this year the trees were made locally here in Denver.
Okay.
The LEDs and the accessories that go along with the tree are made overseas by a
Sure.
factory there. And so basically, what we do is that portion of the product lands in Los Angeles
Okay.
when there's a warehouse there, a shipping partner of ours that does drop shipping for us.
Got it.
And so yeah, it's not a ballet. An order comes in, and sometimes we'll have to send a portion of that product here in Denver, and a portion may have to come from Los Angeles. And I have to kind of strategically figure out, what makes sense to ship here and what makes sense to ship in California. And what I determined is the larger items should stay in California because of the cost of then shipping all of the larger product here to Denver and the costs associated with that and the warehousing associated with that. I work out of my home,
Okay.
and we ship out of my home. And so it's certainly not a scalable
Right.
solution, but as a small business, you got to cut costs wherever you possibly can. In fact, last year, in an effort to save money, we had product left over in our warehouse in California, and I got a one-way ticket, rented the biggest moving truck I could, and drove the product back to Denver just so I could save a few $100s from having that shipped to me directly. So you do what you got to do.
Yeah, like a true entrepreneur. And so in your case, in this case, just so I understand it, when I'm buying a Christmas tree from Modern Christmas Trees, it does, generally speaking, come in two parts, or I get one box with everything assembled, or generally it's a two-part thing. There's some lighting, because I see some of it behind you, and there's the base. Just explain that to us so I can get that.
Yeah, so you can buy the trees any number of ways. You can buy them with or without the ornaments. So
I see. Okay.
an order can be one box or up to 6 or 7 boxes. And so sometimes what we have to do is figure out, okay, these 3 items can get consolidated into this one box.
Got it.
So we can save on shipping that way. But yeah, I mean, in a perfect world, an order comes in. I don't even have to see it. It
Right.
goes to a warehouse somewhere where they basically package it together if they need to be packaged together, and it all gets shipped from one location. But from a cost standpoint, we're just not there yet.
Got it. No, I totally get it. And then, Matt, I'm curious, what things can we learn from you? I'm curious, where have you been X years ago that you're like, Ramon, here's how I've grown? And then as we're learning in your journey, where do you see the next 2 or 3 years, as much as you can share as well? Do you see eventually maybe having one big warehouse and everything there? Is that the growth pattern? Or help us understand for your company, but also as we learn from you, other businesses who are on this journey like you are, especially with the products and shipping and doing e-commerce, what you see that working out to be.
Well, my company's different because it's a seasonal product.
Fair enough.
And so the idea of having your own facilities doesn't make a whole lot of sense if you're only using those facilities for 3 months out of the year. So that's where you have to lean on, a third party like our partner in California, who both warehouses some of our inventory and ships them out.
Got it.
So yeah, I think again, my business is not typical, and so because of that, I can kind of be lean and mean, and I don't need to have an office. I office out of my home, and the basement is where we work and warehouse some of our stuff, and in my garage where my cars are supposed to be. We have a bunch of product there as well. So,
but one thing I'm hearing is the importance of partnerships. That's one thing I'm hearing, is that partners, for some businesses, they can choose to do it all themselves. That is one model. Another model, as you're saying, is the lean and say, hey, listen, we're going to focus on, it seems like yours, the IP is the design and the coolness. Everybody else, as you mentioned FedEx, you mentioned other partners, they can take care of everything else that we need to serve me, the customer. That's kind of how I'm repackaging what I'm hearing you say. Does that make sense, Matt? Does that sound fair, or am I off?
It's critical that the trees get there when, we say that they're going to get there, or when FedEx tells us when the customer is going to receive it based on volume and things like that. I think in a perfect world, you have control over everything and I see everything, but that's just not realistic. You have to lean on good partners, and that has been a lesson throughout this process, that some partners prove to be very, very valuable and some you have to let go of, and that can be tough.
No, for sure. And then for seasonal businesses, give us any advice on that, Matt, as much as you can. I don't want to get too personal, but you're a seasonal business, so the other 7, 8, 9, 10, no, whatever, whatever the month of the year, 7, 3 minus 12, or whatever it may be, are you building up and getting ready with your business, or are there other things you're doing? Or are you just sitting back playing Nintendo all day long? What's
No, I mean, there's no doubt that in the off season, it's not an 8 to 5 job.
Sure.
October, November, December, it's 7 days a week,
Okay.
70 plus hours a day. But
Right.
during that off season, you're writing blogs to help SEO. You're, planning your inventory. There's a lot of research and development going on, products that I'm working on right now that need more work. So yeah, it's still a full-time job, even though it's a seasonal business.
I love it. I love it. And then what else can you tell us, Matt? What else, anything I didn't ask you that we can learn from you? I know being a product-based business has its own challenges with e-commerce. What about hiring, being a leader in your company? How does that work for you? Even though it may be seasonal, I'm sure there's issues where you yourself, I'm guessing, want to do better and better beyond working in the business as opposed to working on the business. How does that work for Matt? What are you doing to be a better leader and improve yourself as a business owner?
That's a really great question.
We all struggle with it. Listen, I go through it myself as a business owner.
I think I've been super lucky to have the employees that I have. Some of these people came to me because they already saw the product and they read the backstory and they wanted to be involved in something like that. And those are the perfect employees because it's not just a paycheck for them. They're buying into what I'm trying to do and what we're giving families and so thankfully I've particularly this year been really lucky to have employees that have just knocked it out of the park for me. So yeah, I think when it comes to like trying to hire the right people, I've had the luxury of having people reach out to me based on a post somewhere saying I'm looking for help, and they've already, I think they want to work here because we're just doing stuff that's different. We're still learning, and I don't have it all figured out. I lean on my employees all the time, and they'll ask me a question, and I'll be like, I have no idea. Run with it, and let's see how it works out. So it's been a cool environment this year.
I love it. I love it. No, that's powerful, Matt. I think for sure. And I'm excited to get this story out to us. I'm curious as far as the, I'm not sure if I'll use this in the interview or not, but as far as the other partners, I know FedEx is one for sure for shipping. That's really important to be able to get to that 2-day shipping or larger people order ahead of time. Any other partners that you use for e-commerce, if you consider them partners? I don't know if you're on a, like what's your e-commerce platform shipping? Can you talk about them? Can you share those names with us as well?
Yeah, I mean, we're a WooCommerce shop, and we have a variety of plugins, which has worked at times, and I think we finally got it figured out. I mean, anytime you add something, a plugin, again, this is not my core competency, so I lean on my marketing guy for all of that. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't consider them critical partners, but I think they've helped us get it right. And so, that's all you ask. If there's a problem, you want partners that are willing to step up and have you try and fix it.
It sounds like they're a partner, and not in a bad way. They're somebody who you could see evolving out of or changing possibly in the future. That's going to evolve. It's a technology.
It's the reality of technology is that certain things meet your needs at a certain time, and as your company changes and you grow, some of those platforms that you originally invested in just don't meet your needs, and that's okay. You have to continue to learn and follow best practices, and so we're definitely doing that.
Absolutely. And then final question, talking about the relationship you have with FedEx and the partnership there. I know that's very important for your business. What was it like winning the grant, which could have happened some time ago? I'm not sure exactly when, but winning the grant, and then talking about the partnership now that you have, especially for other e-commerce companies who are looking for that. We want to do what we're doing. We want to build what we're building, but we don't want to worry about shipping. And I know that's very important to you. So why is that partnership so important? What's that been like for you?
Well, to talk about the grant to begin with, it came at a perfect time. As an entrepreneur, there were just major ups and downs, and coming out of last year, we had a rough year for a number of reasons.
Okay.
And so winning a grant like that is validation that we're doing some of the right things here. And that was very much needed. Because I don't get much validation out of November and December, right?
Yes.
I mean, who cares about Christmas trees? And so that's something that really helped keep me going. And yeah, FedEx has been a great partner of ours, not just because I won the grant, but because of, you know, our packages arrive safely and on time typically.
Yep.
And so, yeah, I don't regret the decision that I made to ship exclusively through them.
So why don't you tell us, before we go much further on, about the backstory of this company, how it came to be? What was it like? Is this something you and some guys founded in a garage? Is it something that came from your family? Tell us the history of your company, Matt.
Yeah, it's a cool story. My grandfather designed this tree for our family back in 1966.
Wow.
So he was an engineer. He did projects for NASA. And then when he quit doing that, he started his own A-frame cabin business. And so he was a really unique man who liked to make things. And so he made a tree made out of concentric collapsible rings for our family back in 1966. So there wasn't a business. He only made a handful, but it was something that resonated with me. All of our Christmas Eves were spent at my grandma and grandpa's, and this tree was always kind of the focal point. And I just have really fond memories of that. And he began to suffer from Alzheimer's in 2011, and that was really difficult on me in particular. And I just didn't think that the last years of his life were going the way that they should have. And that's the tough thing with Alzheimer's. And so at that point, I decided I would, you know, pay tribute to him by, you know, kind of updating his tree and actually showing it to the world. And his signature is laser engraved on the bottom of every tree that I make. Wow. And so, yeah, it's started as just a little kind of living tribute to him. And yeah, I don't think he would have ever thought that it's come this far. So that's why it's so, I'm so thankful for your interest in that, because I get the ability to talk about him, and I can picture him, you know, smiling, and there's just no way he would have thought that this has come this far.
That's powerful. Matt, if you don't mind, what was his first name, if you don't mind?
It was Lawrence, but everyone called him Bud.
Okay. I love it.
Bud Stoker.
I love it. What a story. Listen, family's important, Matt. And I think sometimes we forget, especially for the big billion-dollar brands, they're powered by humans too. But for us, very small businesses, most of the time, as Dave Ramsey says, business is personal and personal is business, brother. I mean, that's just how it rolls for me. There's not a big there's not a large line between me and the people above my head right now who I'm living for, my wife and my daughter. So I'm being personal with you myself. So whether it's grandfather or family. So I appreciate you sharing that and letting us capture that for the Smart Hustle community, because most of us also, our families are tied to what we do, whether they're living now or whether they've gone to a better place, as your grandfather may have. So
yeah. I think from a customer service standpoint, we've really tried to not see our customers as customers, but people who are helping us continue this story and this tradition, and people are adopting this tradition. And yeah, I take a lot of pride in you know, our ability to communicate with customers and let them know that, I mean, I can't do this, and I can't continue to tell his story and you know, share his ingenuity with the world without their help. So you know, that's one thing that you can control as a business, right? Customer service. I have no way of, you know, knowing whether the tree will resonate with someone, whether they see it as something beautiful or you know, a piece of art. But I do have the ability on how we, you know, to control the ability, you know, how we communicate with them. So yeah, it's we're not an Amazon, you know. We communicate with our customers. I take phone calls from them. Oftentimes they're shocked that, you know, I would pick up and they're talking to me, but that's how you have to do it.
Matt Bliss of modernchristmastrees.com. Thank you for joining us on a Smart Hustle discussion, Smart Hustle podcast. My name is Ramon Ray, founder of smarthustle.com. If you're hearing the sound of my voice, please comment, like, give us an engagement, talk to us, share this with somebody else, give us a 5-star or a 20-star review. We are here to serve you at smarthustle.com and bring you other amazing interviews like this.